We have had to make some moves today that have just been a little risky.
Very steep entrance down into this gorge.
We had our first humbling moment on the river today. Definitely something that we want to be a little bit more cautious of as we continue on.
Crunch down in the back corner of my mouth. Out came 2 pieces of my teeth.
Lean right, lean right, lean right.
There's so many things that challenge you both physically and mentally, but the rewards that you get make it all worth it.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm recording now, guys, because I got the cheap version of Zoom, so I'm only got 40 minutes for you guys, okay? Like, all the other people went on and on and on, but we got...
We'll have to make it quick.
Yes. So look, Noah, Alex has a better fire than you. What? Where's your
Okay.
fire?
So, reason for that, I moved into a new place in Nova Scotia. And before I bought any furniture, COVID hit. And now I don't want to be shopping around. So, I live in an empty house.
Oh, lovely. Oh, just don't blame COVID on everything, okay? Like, really. Basically, what, you know, Alex is a lot better than you. This is basically like it.
I've heard that before.
Oh my Lord, it's been a long day. I'm going to be a little blah, blah, blah. I've been on the CBC all day today talking about nature and getting into nature, and now we're getting into the real deal. All right. What whiskey are you guys having tonight? It is a whiskey fireside chat.
So, what do you have there, Kev?
I'm running low, man. I'm running low, and not low. I mean, I've got a stash, whatever. But I'm doing the whole Canadian, just rye. Like, it's not Scottish whiskey, it's not Irish whiskey, and that is Canadian, right? Gibson's Finest.
Yeah, keep it Canadian.
Is it?
Isn't all rye considered Canadian?
Yes, it is, because it's whiskey with an E. So, Alex, what are you having?
I am just pouring myself a Talisker.
Oh,
Dark Storm.
Oh, that's not. I have some Talisker left over as well. And Noah, I don't want to ask because you have no fire, you have no furniture. I'm kind of feeling bad for you, man.
Hey, I have a watered down 40 Creek.
Not bad. Not bad.
This is what we take in the backcountry, so I thought apropos to be drinking it tonight.
Okay, I'm still thinking Alex is beating us. He's got a fire. He's got better whiskey. You and I were cheers.
What'd you catch, Noah?
The worst type of fish out here, snot rockets.
Cheers.
All right. I've got a script once again, but I never stick to it. But let's get to it. All right. So we'll start with Noah. Well, who's older?
Noah, technically by a couple months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Out here, I've learned a lot about myself. Turns out I might be a pirate. That's all.
I'm going to skip right to the second question right now. How do you guys know each other? Like, when did this all start?
So it started way before Northern Scavenger.
Okay.
We've been friends, I would say, in our entire lives. Since 3 or 4 years old, we've been getting up to misadventures together.
Like, really? So you guys played in the backwood a lot together and threw poison ivy at each other and things like that?
Yeah, we went to elementary school together, and and high school, and parted ways for university. But other than that, like we've known each other our entire lives.
Oh, I've got a bit of a tear. All right, so Noah, who, what, where started you into wilderness travel or getting into nature?
So growing up, my mom was seeing a guy for a long time who was really into camping. He did a bunch of solo trips up to James Bay, up the Hayes River, and different river systems. And he took myself, my mom out camping. And in the beginning, for me, it was all about fishing. I wanted to go on a camping trip to get into good fishing spots.
Alex has a big fish on with mono and a jig.
We have no idea what it is yet.
He's been playing it for like 5 minutes.
It might just be a snot rocket.
Man, I wish I didn't see him. Man, I say we go to shore slowly. We just pulled to shore. We're gonna try to land him on the beach here. Holy no! What? What? Hold your fish, man.
Dude, that was hardly mine. That was a full team effort getting this guy in.
Dude, this is f***ing massive. Mono line and a jig.
Oh! Oh my god!
But over the years, the camping and canoeing started becoming a bigger part of the trip than just the fishing.
That's cool. Oh, okay. I did not know that. And you can still fish.
You can get the best fishing spots when you canoe in.
Oh, maybe I don't. Oh, I don't have them hooked well.
You'll see it here first, folks.
Holy sh! Oh my god, that thing's so f***. I think that's my PB. Can we get a picture with him?
Oh, obviously.
All right, Alex. How about yourself?
So similar to Noah, my mom also took me out to, like, I grew up kind of going to provincial parks every summer and mainly just doing like kind of car camping stuff, like pull into an electric or non-electric site, pitch your tent next to it, and then it was just my mom, my sister, and I, and then sometimes some friends and family would come, but my mom would usually rent me a canoe for a couple days and let me just go mess off and go explore and paddle around, or she'd take me out and go fishing. And yeah, and then actually I ended up going on a trip with Noah, his mom, and Lou, who was the guy that she was seeing back then, and we went to McRae Lake, and that was really my first ever like canoe trip.
That's all. So I met your mothers at the Traynor show.
And yes, I mean, I'm just overwhelmed here because I have, we've seen a lot of really famous YouTubers here today. We've seen Brad, we've seen the Northern Scavengers, but here are their mothers. Northern Scavengers' mothers are right here, and they're far more famous than those two individuals.
Yeah.
Yes. What were they like growing up?
They got in a lot of trouble, and they were always doing adventures. Always adventures.
Yeah.
Getting muddy and dirty.
That's fantastic. So the Northern Scavengers' mothers, far better than them, more knowledgeable, more wiser, and that's coming from Uncle Kev.
Yeah.
That was a highlight because I didn't see that coming.
They're actually like really close friends now as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah, on that note, Kevin, when we were starting our trip this past summer, they were doing a 3-week trip through Alaska together, which is pretty cool.
Both of them, really?
Yeah, together.
Oh, that's a video.
They sent us a farewell message from like a log in Alaska, and like on a beach in Alaska, and sent us the video.
Hey everybody! What's up? I'm Anna. And I'm Annette. And we're the Northern Scavenger Mums. We are exploring in Denali Park in Alaska, and we've been out biking and hiking and kayaking, and we're going to take a float plane into Katmai Park to see the bears.
And since we're on our adventure, we're not back in Canada to send you guys off on your amazing adventure across Labrador. We just want to tell you how excited we are about your team crossing Boreal to Barren Lands, and we want to wish you all the best, and we know you guys will come back with some amazing stories. We are so excited to hear about them. We love you, and we know it's going to be awesome.
Oh, man. Now that's a whiskey chat right there. I'm writing that down. They'll get more views than yours, I'm telling you.
Yeah, totally.
So you grew up, you traveled together, you went to the woods together, and then all of a sudden you tried, or not tried, but decided to use, I've had a really long day.
No worries.
Everybody's all, the CBC radio was, I did 26 interviews today, and I had 3 minutes in between, and I started at noon, and I just finished. And it was all to do with, hey, the pandemic is going on. When can we get out in nature, and should we get out in nature? And wow, that's a good question. Going off tangent, and we got 40 minutes. Sorry, keep to the script, Kevin. Why did you guys choose YouTube to share your knowledge, your skill set, your passion, and basically your message? Why did you choose YouTube?
Just a couple dudes looking for adventure.
All right, kids, this is a lesson in why you tie up your canoe whenever you get to shore, no matter how calm it is, no matter how well you think it's secured. I slipped on these rocks and pushed the canoe off into the abyss. So now I'm gonna jump in and swim and go get it.
I would say that, like, I think it just kind of came naturally. Like, we started by just filming our trips, and it was more for our own memories, and we wanted to have a video of the trip rather than just a bunch of photos. And then we had all these videos, and it was like, well, we might as well share them with other people. And YouTube just happened to be like the first medium really that we like thought to share it through.
Is that because that was the medium at the time? Because I talked to Jonathan, backcountry angler, and I talked to Brad last night, Brad Jennings, Explorer Backcountry, sorry. And yeah, that was the medium at the time. I mean, back in the day, like I interviewed Hap Wilson, I interviewed a bunch of the older people, and it was always books and film and magazine articles. YouTube was never really around. So did you guys choose that because that was the main medium to get your message out?
I think like another thing that I'd maybe add on to this, and I don't know like if Noah you would agree with this or not, but like I think like when you're writing a book or any of the older ways of sharing a message, I think I don't even know if that's really older, but I just mean like I feel like if we were to write a book, I don't think when we started Northern Scavenger, Noah and I would have ever thought that we could write a book about canoeing or anything. Like we were just a couple of dudes who like basically were sharing our misfortunes and our like we've learned. Like if you go back and watch some of our old videos, it's like we didn't really know what we were doing, and we still necessarily like there's still things that we're learning along the way.
It seems like today we've been lining or portaging more than we've actually been paddling.
Portage, line, portage. Oh, bushwhack. That wasn't the portage, just kidding.
That was a good point. So actually, it was funny. The next question was, do you still own that Coleman canoe that you did the Still River with?
It is right outside my door underneath my balcony out there.
Really? And it is a Coleman?
It is, and I still bring it out from time to time to remember where my roots are from. But it really does suck. That metal bar for a yoke is not fun on your neck.
Oh, if you did the Still River, like I remember when I met you guys and I found out, I watched your video on the Still River because I love the Still River and also hated it at the same time, right? But then I saw that you guys did it in that canoe. I'm not knocking the company Coleman. I'm just saying it's not the high level canoe, and they know that, right? And for you to do that trip, like really hard trip in that canoe, I was like, wow, like they have something.
We've brought the canoe over and Harvested some blueberries on our way back.
Not a bad haul.
And now we're gonna eat them. Relatively flat. It's an interesting portage. A few thick bush spots that you have to push through, but nothing we can't handle. Cheers.
I mean, they got through it, and it was really so. And you still own it, and yet you've progressed. Have you progressed?
Yes. So I think so. We recently we've been getting a lot of questions about like how we gain these skills and certain things that we do, but we've never really done. We never actually had professional training. And I wouldn't recommend this way, but we started with wearing tank tops from beer shirts from beer boxes and using a Coleman canoe, just because we loved getting outside, and we didn't have the gear, we didn't have the knowledge. We just went outside, and when things didn't work, we thought about how we can make it work next time. Whether it be we were very uncomfortable and cold, we need better outerwear. The canoe can't be portage for more than 1 kilometer without breaking your neck. We should probably think about getting a better canoe. But for us, it's never been about promoting and using the best gear. It's what we can afford and what we have access to.
Hey Kev, see ya.
What's going on? What's going? No! 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 They're not taking my canoe! No! They're not taking my canoe!
And over the time, that's progressed from meeting people like yourself who let us use that canoe in Wabakimi to learning about other people and other companies that provide better gear than we've had at that time.
What's going on, folks? It's Noah from Northern Scavenger. Me and Alex just got back from our big trip in Wabakimi. It was amazing. You're going to see more about it very soon. And one thing different about this trip than most of our other trips, other than that it was very long, is that we used someone else's boat. You guys might know this guy. We know him as Uncle Kev, and this is his boat. So, old crusty blood from fish. Don't worry, we'll get rid of that. Tears from Alex on those long days.
So I forgot about that moment. That's true. That's how I met you guys. I said, please borrow one of my canoes, because if you go to Wabakimi in a Coleman, you will die. Why Wabakimi? Why all of a sudden you had this epiphany to do Wabakimi? Or?
Oh my God. I'll take that.
I think like all of our we started by just doing a big trip every year, and each one of those trips, like, you know, the Steel River was like back, that was like a pretty early on trip for us. But each year we just kind of tried to push our limits and try to do something further. And like the Wabakimi one really appealed to us at the time, I remember, because like we got to fly in, and that was like a new thing for us to check out, and like how far north it was in Ontario. Like we just knew that being up there, it was going to be like amazing fishing, very remote. But like I know for me for sure that the flights really appealed to me, like flying into a lake and just feeling like you really got out there. And then I don't know, that was definitely my appeal for Wabakimi. But I think like that just kind of came from like a progression of the other trips, like just trying to push ourselves in a new way or get a new experience. Noah, would you add anything?
Yeah, just to add on that, we wanted to progress and go into northwestern Ontario, and we were deciding between the 3 big parks out there, Wabakimi, Woodland, Caribou, and Etobicoke. And the reason, I don't know exactly why we picked Wabakimi. I think we did some extensive research on the best fishing out there, which seems silly because obviously they all have really good fishing.
We're about to make dinner. We caught a couple pickerel for a little shore dinner. Just gonna clean them up quickly. Alex is gonna set up the tent, and we're gonna start this trip on the right foot.
But it was, I think it was actually, I have your book right here.
Oh God, not this again. Jeez.
This has been our Bible for a few years.
You're making me all stressed, okay?
So you writing about that, so it gave us some background information on Wabakimi, and then meeting Bert and Brenda at the Outdoor Adventure Show. That combination just sparked Wabakimi as a place to go. And logistically, it made a little more sense than going out to Etobicoke or Woodland Caribou in terms of driving.
Okay, and those were the outfitters that ran trips out of Wabakimi?
Yeah, we used Wabakimi Wilderness Adventures.
Okay. I remember when you guys went into Wabakimi, and yeah, you stole my canoe, and everything was fine. And no, actually, no, you didn't steal the canoe until afterwards. You borrowed the canoe, brought it back, and then you stole it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And so your filming, I saw, increased like twofold, right? So did you go on that Wabakimi trip really wanting to do a film on it? Was that yes, Noah, you wanted to catch fish, and we all know you're a better fisherman than your partner there, but it's a given. But was it filming that you really wanted to do on that trip?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I think we at that point we knew we had something going on YouTube, but it was never about going to the Backcountry 2 film. It was about going to the Backcountry 2 to enjoy the trip and also have the camera out in that order, I would say.
Okay, because it was really well filmed is what I'm trying to get at. I really enjoyed that series.
Yeah, I think Noah's downplaying the filming just a little bit. Like, we definitely cared about the filming, but I think like Noah made a good point. Like, it's always been about, like, the trip was based on stuff that we wanted in ourselves, and it wasn't about like what other people were going to think or how it was going to perform. It was just like, this is a trip for us. Let's capture it to the best of our abilities.
So who's got the camera out first, Noah? Who's got the shot first? Is it you, Noah, or is it Alex?
I'm gonna Alex 100% of the time. He is. I've never seen someone so determined to get the shot in the absolute worst conditions possible.
I'm gonna document the whole thing with this.
Gotta give it to Alex for that. He's I don't know how he does it sometimes, to be honest.
But we both compliment that really nicely. Like, there's times that I just like am completely unmotivated, or it's usually whoever can like pull it together in the hardest times to, like, you know, do whatever it takes to get the shot.
Day 3.
There's a pause. There's that moment, because I actually thought the opposite. Because I don't really know you guys too well. I've met you a lot, but you know, Noah's more deep thinking, more soft spoken, more in the background, and Alex, you're not. I don't know if that's true, but that's my perception. So what makes you a better film person? Are you right in people's face, or are you deep thinking? So Noah, if you said Alex is the one that's getting the shot all the time, what are you getting out of the trip? What's your main goal when you're on that trip? Is it film? Is it fishing? Or is it just to be there?
So I guess going back to the Northern Scavenger YouTube channel, we both contribute to the filming. I would say Alex is definitely the better person to get the camera. So I would say filming it is also a big part for me as well. But I really enjoyed the experience of just like really just being there and being present and enjoying it. And sometimes being so focused on other things that's not the camera, I lose sight of the film, and I'm trying to grab my fishing rod or something else. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if Alex, if you can add to that.
No, like, I think like there's, I don't know, I've always said that there's two main passions that drive us. Like, we love backcountry camping, and we also love filmmaking. And so like, for me, it's both. Like, I I get equally, like, I'm excited to be out there and I love camping, but I love coming back and having an awesome memory of that trip by way of a film after. And whether it does well or not, like, I'll go back and, like, I still watch old films and it's like, man, this was an awesome trip. Or, like, one of us will do a deep dive at some point and go watch the Steel River again and be like, man, I can't believe we brought a Coleman on that trip, or like can't believe the pickerel we were catching, or something. Like, just, it's a great memory.
Yeah, that's true.
So we just made it to our very first camp on our big Wabakimi trip. And this is it. It's beautiful in here.
For those of you that don't know, pickerel fins, also known as pickerel wings, are awesome fried. Woo! That looks good.
And then you guys separated basically because, well, I'm not just assuming this. No, you got work in Nova Scotia and you work in geology, like, you know, your rocks or minerals, sorry, minerals, not rocks. You know, and that took you out to Nova Scotia. And then Alex, you actually changed everything up and then started working for Paling Magazine.
Yep.
And so yeah, and that's really interesting. What you separated, did that add to your abilities to spread the message, or was it a friction, or was it sort of like, gosh, it wasn't the same, we're not ourselves anymore, we're not these boys being friends together all the time? Do you actually think it was a moment where, like, oh man, there goes the whole YouTube channel?
I guess I could speak to this one. For a moment, I would say for a very brief moment, we're like, oh shoot, how are we going to film? But we're both very optimistic guys, and it's really hard for us to see the downfall of something from a change of circumstances. So we quickly realized that, wow, now you're going to be in Nova Scotia. There's a whole other backcountry in Nova Scotia, and Alex is going to be in Ontario filming. I'm going to be in Nova Scotia filming, and we're capturing different terrain and different aspects of Canada in our filming and our YouTube channel.
It is the beginning of January, and on the first weekend, I had an opportunity to do a one-night solo trip in which I opted to camp at the top of a nearby mountain in hopes of getting some cool photos. Fairly confident that that's west over there. So even though this is kind of the nicer view, I think I'm gonna actually set up my camp tonight on the other side facing Gun Lake so that I catch a nice sunrise in the morning. I mean, hopefully get some nice shots out there. So it's starting to snow now, or freezing rain, I can't really tell.
So it's the morning of day 2. It's a little frosty, but the sun's out. I went to check on my wetsuit, and it is pretty solid. It's kind of crunchy too. Frozen solid. So we arrived at the beach on Tangier Lake. This is known as the largest inland beach in Nova Scotia, which is saying a lot because there's a lot of beaches in this province.
And I think it captures a bigger audience as well. And we still do a big trip every year together. And I would say we still chat every day, pretty much. So our relationship hasn't changed at all, other than it's more online. And our channel, I think, has really benefited from it.
So basically, it jazzed it up. I mean, change is good. Change is always good, right? Especially in your underwear, which I saw on your Labrador trip, which is the next question.
Going for the full reset on these clothes.
Oh my Lord, the Labrador trip. Friggin' awesome trip. Like, just incredible. And I'm glued to watching your whole trip. But how many times did you wash your underwear?
First, I scrubbed all of these with soap and lake water. Then I boiled some water just to like really make sure we're killing everything in there. And we'll be good to go. Fresh for like the second half of the trip.
Like it seemed Alex was washing his underwear every second day.
Like, I don't know if it was every second day, but I had a couple pairs that I was rotating, and I just like, I didn't want anything funky happening, you know? So I just kept it, I wanted to keep it fresh. Like, even though I felt gross everywhere, it was like, even just to give them a quick soak somewhere.
I just assumed Noah was the clean freak and you were not. You're free, whoever, doesn't matter. And yet I'm watching the film and went, no, it seems that he's washing his underwear and socks a lot. All right, we'll forget about that. The more in question, why Labrador? Because you went, like, you're going up like this, and all of a sudden, boom. Like this, let's do the Still River in a Coleman canoe. Let's do Wabakimi because we want to fly in and catch lots of fish, and hopefully we'll film it. And then all of a sudden we do Labrador, and we might die.
The valley's green will age with me. Its dirt will shine and linger. And girls will come in festive clothes, and the boys will wait.
No, do you want to start this one?
So that's a loaded question because we could talk about this trip the entire time, but I don't know if we necessarily thought that, okay, we did Algonquin, we can do a month-long canoe trip in Labrador. It was never about that. It was more so I think we're in a transition period of our lives where we're still young enough that we don't have too much responsibility. We don't have families. We don't have kids. And to take 5 weeks off or 6 weeks off your life, it's going to become harder and harder the older you get. And I was really eager to get out to Labrador. I've worked out there for the last 6 years. I've read a bunch of books about Labrador. I've been obsessed with Labrador for a long time. And this festering idea in the back of my mind, thinking that we might not have an opportunity to do this in the future, we have to jump on this now, was enough to get me obsessed with it to plan the trip and then pitch it to Alex pretty much.
Oh, so you pitched that to Alex, and then Alex, did you sort of say, are you freaking kidding me? Like, what?
He pitched it while we were on the meanest link, and I kind of like laughed and said, yeah, that'd be awesome. And then just kind of like changed the subject because I was like 5 weeks off, like the odds of this happening, very slim, like whatever, every other reason you'd possibly put it out of your mind. But like, yeah, it'd be cool in theory. And then, yeah, I don't know. It was like, I guess November-ish of 2018. And Noah sent me an email with confirmation from his boss saying that he could get 5 weeks off work. And he's like, hey man, so I got 5 weeks off. So you gonna come or what? And I was like, oh my, like then things got really real for me and I started sweating a bit and I had to figure things out.
And you did. You look at the contrast too, like you did the meanest link. I think the meanest link was a totally different trip for you than the Labrador trip.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, Labrador was definitely a jump for us for a lot of reasons, but I don't know. At the same time, there was many trips that we did leading up to that I feel like prepared us in ways that maybe we didn't even really know at the time were preparing us. Like when we signed up to do Labrador, it was like definitely like we were nervous and there was the aspect of like, wow, we're taking a bit of a leap here. But I felt like there were like once we were on the trip or like maybe even after, it was kind of like, wow, like it was amazing how much like the meanest link where we had to push 45-kilometer days and like we were just hauling all the time and pushing through constant pain and bushwhacking through Temagami and like all these little things that just kind of like over time kind of, I don't know, in a way provided a comfort while we were out there.
So the Labrador trip had more meaning than all those others, especially the meanest link then?
I would say we definitely, every trip we do, we get a nugget of information that we learn about ourselves as people, as trippers, but also ways of overcoming a physical and mental obstacle. Every trip we've done, there's been problems we've had to solve and issues we've had to deal with. And Labrador, it was a longer version of that. It had the same problems. A rapid is a rapid. You need to scout it. You need to find a line. If you can't find a line, you got to portage. On a bigger trip like that, you don't think of it as a month-long canoe trip. You think of it as that day and what you have to do in that day. And a day in Labrador is actually very similar to a day in Wabakimi in terms of problems you need to solve. Other than you need to solve that problem with 1,000 black flies around your face. So that adds a little more drama to it, I guess.
I did have the question here, were the bugs that bad?
Yeah, they were pretty bad.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you guys at the Toronto show, and I asked Noah about the trip, and shows are really busy, and I didn't have really much time to talk to you guys, but I remember your face, you Noah, you were saying all great things about the trip, and then you stalled and said, yeah, it was really good if you like bugs and bad weather. And that kept in my brain. It's like, yeah, I mean, it was an amazing trip, amazing history, amazing country, amazing province and area.
It's probably about 6 o'clock right now, and we're heading into the swamp to do about a kilometer portage in the rain and the wind. We had one good day of sun, never two in a row, so par for the course.
Is it worth it?
100% worth it.
Yeah, I would agree. I definitely had a moment where I debated whether it was worth it, but yeah, I know it was by the end of the trip I can confirm it was definitely worth it.
Just climbing around out here, it's been crazy how cool it is. Oh, look at that. Barely any eyes will ever lay sight on what we're looking at right now. If this was in a more populated area, it'd be a national park. There'd be a million tourists up here, but there's not. Because I'll tell you, this isn't an easy place to get to. It's actually very hard. So worth it. Wind has died down a bit, so the bugs are like, yo, what up? We're gonna come hang out for a bit. And they're like, I don't know if I really want you to hang out right now, to be honest. But then they're like, yeah, we're probably gonna hang out anyways. And then they just pick at your head, and your face, and your eyes, and you inhale them. Whatever, they're annoying. You try to just distract yourself with the beauty out here, you know? Maybe you don't know. Maybe that's why you're at home right now. And you're like, geez, I don't know. The views are really nice, obviously, but I just don't know if it's worth it. It is. It's worth it. Get out there. Go explore. Climb a mountain. Get eaten by some bugs. It's all good for you. It's crazy to think that we are halfway on this trip right now. A little over halfway. Day 19. Still feeling pretty good. Beginning of the trip, day 4, day 5, you're just waking up, you're like, wow, it's only day 4 of 35. And it's hard to like wrap your head around the fact that you're going to be out here for another 30 days, another whole month, 1/12 of a year. However you want to think about it. You take it a day at a time, you fall into a rhythm, the days just start going by so fast. Can't tell you how many mornings wake up after a tough day the day before and you're just like, I honestly don't know how I'm gonna get through another day. And then it just seems to like you blink, it's like 6 o'clock and you've just hustled all day. You're like, wow, where'd the day go? And now all of a sudden we're here at day 19. The amount of time that we have left in this trip, 16 days, is longer than my longest trip before this one, which was Wabakimi, 14 days. It could be easy to get overwhelmed by the length or difficulty of a trip. You take it day by day, step by step. Eventually you've got yourself a 35-day trip. Surprisingly, it goes by really fast. One thing that I've really noticed on this trip, just with how demanding it is, the bugs are really bad, the weather can be really tough at times. One thing you really learn is to appreciate the change in things. Some days we have really long lake paddling days and we're like, holy smokes, my arms are gonna fall off, my core is killing me. You're like almost excited for a portage. And then you have a hard portage day. It's like, jeepers, get me back in a canoe. All I wanna do is get a couple paddle strokes in. Or one day it'll be pouring rain and cold and windy, but there's no bugs. And then the next it'll be sunny and you're like, ooh, cool. Might dry some of my clothes because I'm soaked, but the bugs are really bad. So, and then sometimes the bugs just come and smack you no matter what. The point of my story was that eventually all the bad things just become good in small doses and you appreciate the change between them. And I think that's what I've noticed out here. I don't know if that's really like a revelation or anything like that, but it feels like it.
I should ask about your partners. There was 2 other people on that trip, and I don't know anything about them. Can you tell us about them?
Yeah, so I met Dave out here in Nova Scotia.
So after the initial shock of realizing that half of a molar had just fallen out of your face, got my buds here to look at it. They, went in there, had a good long look, and I drank some hot water to see if there's any pain, and then I did some exertion of the body over the portage to see if there's any pulsing, and I put my head down lower than my heart to see if there was any pulsing, and did all the things, and really there actually hasn't been any issues other than just being a small irritation top my mouth where something has changed.
Yeah, and so then the other guy, Chris Jared, he went on a trip with Dave the year before up to the Northwest Territories.
Got a 31-inch lake trout that's been grilled and then diced up. Nice full frying pan's worth, really.
The other question everyone's been dying to ask, where did you get that styling watch?
Ah, yeah.
You're bedazzled right now.
It was a last-minute Walmart special for the trip.
That's been like our lifeline for getting up early.
Because no one thought to bring a watch before we got to Lab City.
They did a 54-day canoe trip. So Dave knew Chris and could vouch for Chris. I could vouch for Dave kind of from my trip, from my spring with hanging out with him. And then me and Alex can vouch for, like, me and Alex have been tripping together forever. So we knew we could deal with each other for a month. But the dynamics on a big trip like that, you're with people day in and day out for all day in the worst conditions. So it's inevitable that arguments will happen. You just want to make sure that you guys can get along enough to complete the trip in one piece, really.
Yeah, and the ultimate question I'm supposed to ask now is, did you guys get along? And oh no, I'm running out of time. Oh, all right. Oh, hasn't happened yet. Okay. It doesn't matter if you guys got along or not. I think that's a silly question, to be quite honest. Obviously, you guys made it through, and you're still talking. Oh,
and I can vouch. We all did get along, and we had a great team. We couldn't have asked for a better team on that trip.
that's cool. This is my new thing here now. So this is a new threesome thing. Okay. And stop it, Alex. Don't giggle. Stop it. That's a good question too that I didn't write down. But yeah, your cameras. You did solar, but you didn't get a lot of sun. So how'd that work?
It was basically like a challenge to see how often you could leave that solar panel out. Like if you had long paddling days, it was easy to just leave it out on the deck. But like I just had like a rule of thumb that like if there was ever a battery, like we brought a ton of batteries with us, but if a battery was ever dead, we charged it immediately to leave room on the bank to be charged back up again by the solar panel. And so it was just like a constant game of like, oh, a battery's done on the Canon. Okay, like pop it on the charger tonight. Tomorrow there'll be like whatever 20% that we need to make up on the solar panel. And like we would just like try to whatever the next battery might last us 2 days, and we might have 2 days to try to make that up again. And it was just trying to keep that panel up there without it depleting too much over the trip. But of course, by the end, we were getting pretty low because it rained 28 of the 35 days. So.
Yeah, it was wet. Like so, and you waded up a lot of rapids too. Did you get foot rot at all?
No, surprisingly, neither of us did.
No, so we had a cheat code.
We put on our base layer first every single day. I've got a nice quick dry shirt on here. I've got my quick dry hikers, pair of socks. Now with Dave's new tip of tucking my pants into my socks so that they don't ride up. I take my dry pants, completely dry on the inside because I took the time to dry them out on the fire. Slide into this puppy. We're just gonna go into my Crocs for now. I tuck all of that inside, do her up nice and tight. And then these puppies, I'm just gonna slide directly into my soaking wet shoes. It can be a little cold. Sometimes we heat our shoes up just so that you don't have to put your feet into something cold in the morning. And boom, dry pants are on. I've got a rain jacket that goes on over top. And this has been essentially my setup for the entirety of this trip so far.
Gives you a nice warm place to put your hands too.
Okay.
One of the pieces of gear that proved to be almost as important as the bug shirts were the dry pants that we wore. And because of those, like they got leaks every once in a while, but we brought Aqua Seal and repaired as we went. But those pants allowed us to walk in rivers daily. And if it wasn't for those, I don't know, we would have been pretty cold, I'd say.
And all of you guys had the same gear for that, or?
3 of us did. Chris was the only person to bring a full dry suit. So like a onesie, I guess.
Yeah, and he was good with that?
He had the worst leaks actually out of his.
Really? And he probably
he had like a used, like an older full piece suit. So I think it just had seen its day for sure. And this might have been its last trip. I'm not sure. He's a pretty handy guy, so I'm sure he's going to try to fix it and get another couple trips out of it. But he's also pretty tough, so he could handle the leaks.
Yeah,
that's cool. All right, I'm going to ask you the last question. Tick tock. Oh, no pressure whatsoever. What's next? Are you giving up completely and you're just going to go back to your normal jobs and never go in the wilderness again, or you're going to try and get more time off work?
We've talked about giving up, like just maybe it's our time. Like I don't know. I don't know. Noah, do you want to tell them a little bit more about that, or?
Yeah, so we're gonna do we're gonna say something next week, but this trip that we did to Labrador really sparked our interest in continuing to go as hard as possible.
Okay.
So this monster trip to Labrador, this big trip that we planned, I thought it was going to scratch my itch. And after a big trip like this, I would be content with never doing a trip more than a few days again. I thought this would be the end of my progression is how much more can you really progress. But personally, as soon as I got back from that trip, I started thinking about the next one, and it's like an addiction. Like, Kevin, I'm sure you can agree with canoe trips. You come off one and it could suck at the time. It could be raining and you can be freezing cold. But as soon as you get home, you're starting to think about the next trip. And I don't want to speak for Alex, but I feel like we're both pretty eager to get back out there.
I would second that.
And do you have any plans yet, or are you going to write the novel, or do another film, or what?
We've got a few things in motion. Noah's definitely the map guy who like dives through and sifts through and spends his spare time finding rivers and stuff that we could hit. So we've got a couple ideas, but yeah, I don't know. Like a big thing right now is just all this COVID stuff that's going on. We don't know if we'll be able to, and like we'd like to be kind of firming up our plans right now, but we can't because of that. So we'll just kind of have to see. I don't know if you got any more insight in terms of the 26 conversations you've had today, but
all I know is we're dying to get out, and I'll do the countdown now, and we'll finish this off. But we are all dying to get out. We're planning. We're doing things at home to get us through, reconnect to nature around us. But we have to get out, and it's our culture. We're Canadian to go out on a wilderness trip. And you guys, I think is phenomenal, because throughout my whole career, many canoeists have told me that canoeing is dead. That's bullshit. You guys have just proved right now that it is not dead at all. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, Kevin.
Cheers, Kevin. Thanks a lot, man. Great chatting with you.
Kevin, I have one question for you. After all the advice you've given us tonight and all the stories, can we call you Uncle Kev?
Oh no! I'm not going to be that old wise man. I'm a very young, very sexy man.
You didn't say you were.
Hey, you could be the sexy uncle.
No, nobody is a sexy uncle. Who is the sexy? No, there's no
You're a sexy uncle now.
You could be the first sexy
no.
uncle.
Sexy uncle.
I'm not going to be Uncle Kev. I'm never going to get no.